Chapter 2, Evidence from the Past. Test note. The next 2 slides, or 3 notes, explain how Minnesota's landscape and climate have changed over the last 12,000 years. Around 10,000 BC, northern Minnesota was covered by glaciers, and Lake Agassiz covered the western part of the state. Early peoples hunted mammoths, mastodons, and giant bison. It was very cold and dry. Now, the next time period I want you to learn about is by 8,000 BC. The glaciers were gone. The mammoths had become extinct, all of those large animals, and the weather became warmer, and smaller animals started to appear on the landscape. By 1000 BC, the weather and animal and plant life became very, very similar to what it is today. So those are the 3 main time periods that I want you to understand for your test. Now, these statements are true. On your test, there will be true and false, and what I've given you here are all true statements. So, number 1, elders are respected in their community. Now, on the test, maybe it could say elders are not respected in their community, and of course, you know that would be false, because elders are respected in their community. Number 2, true statement, carvings into rock are called petroglyphs. Not carvings in wood, not carvings in sand, not paintings on wall, but carvings into rock are called petroglyphs. Number 3, archaeologists study artifacts. Number 4, burial mounds were sometimes shaped like animals. Yes, they did that. They would make the mound in the shape of an animal because animals were very sacred to them. Number 5, glaciers did extend beyond what is now northern Minnesota. In fact, almost all of Minnesota was covered by glaciers except for the southeast corner. Learn the 5 steps in the scientific method. Now on your test, these 5 sentences will be there. You will have to just rearrange them in correct order. So these 5 will be mixed up, and you'll put a 1 by the 1, 2 by the 2. So, obviously, as you guys know, the first step in the scientific method is to ask a question. Number 2, state a hypothesis. Number 3, perform an experiment. Number 4, record the findings. And number 5, reach a conclusion. You guys are very good on the scientific method. How can oral history keep a group's history alive? Well, oral history can tell about events that happened a long time ago. People can share legends that teach a lesson. Oral history can connect people with their past. You know, it doesn't just have to be these ancient peoples that we're talking about. You know about your parents and your grandparents because of oral history. Someone told you about it. It wasn't written in a book. And so we know a lot of things about these people from a long, long time ago because of oral history, and it's been passed down from generation to generation to generation to generation. So what kinds of examples can you think of that would affect a person's perspective? The answer to that question is some things that can affect how a person looks at things are their experiences, their education, their culture, their time period, and their home environment. Remember the example from CNN Student News, how we looked at those poor children in that refugee camp. The cheese sandwich to them would look like a feast, but maybe to you, not so much. But to them, it would be a feast. Next slide. How do we know people have been living in Minnesota for at least 10,000 years, 12,000 years? Well, human remains have been found in many locations that date back that far. And we also have found human-made artifacts, stone tools, and burial mounds that date back thousands of years.